Good morning from Miyajima. I can't believe I get to wake up to this view. You got the wonderful Torii Gate right there, shining in the morning light, as well as the pagoda off to our right. I can't believe that I woke up to that morning call. Literally right as I ended the last clip, I heard that sort of morning wake up call, that music. I'm not really sure what it was, but it just made me feel like I was in Japan, and it was the perfect timing. This morning I'm gonna start my day at breakfast downstairs. I'm looking forward to that. I'm sure it's gonna be some traditional Japanese breakfast fare, such as grilled fish, miso soup and rice, etc. Some sort of traditional stuff like that, which I love. Maybe like something what I have on the ANA flight over here. And then after that, I can't wait because I really want to climb Mount Misen, which is the main mountain here. And you just take the rope way to the top. And then this afternoon, I just want to explore the town because there's so much to see here. Even though it's small, I feel like there's something interesting around every corner. So let's go down to breakfast now. We just got seated at breakfast and all the food came out really quickly. Everything looks great, but they said to start the meal with a little bit of apple cider vinegar. Wow, that's interesting. It's so much more subtle than I thought it would be. It's just a little bit tart, and you have a tang from the apple and a little bit of bubbliness, so it's almost just like a tart apple cider. They also brought out a little bit of tea. It looks like they gave us some green tea. Wonderful, it just tastes like the tea we had yesterday with our tea time. Now let's go for a bit of miso soup. Wow, the miso soup has such a smooth taste to it, and I love the little pieces of seaweed in it. Now let's go for a taste of the tofu. It looks quite refreshing. Oh, I love that. It's just a flavor bomb. The tofu is very subtle and slightly creamy, and on top you have this intense miso sauce, and I also taste a bit of horseradish in there just for a little extra flavor. It's so earthy and delicious. Now we have another dish of a little bit of vegetables, and this time it looks like some celery. Oh, that is so nice. I love the fresh flavors of this. It tastes like tender celery that's cooked all the way through and in some sort of tofu paste. It almost tastes like soy, which I really enjoy. And then you get a little bit of nuttiness from the pine nuts that are in there. Next, we have some really plump pieces of Japanese radish. Look at how plump this looks. So juicy and flavorful, and just tastes really simple. I think it's just lightly salted and then steamed. It's just like one delicious, juicy bite, and it's very subtle in taste. A very healthy breakfast so far. I just finished up the radish, and that was really tasty. I love that they put some spicy mustard on top because it has a wasabi-like taste, and that really complements the flavor of the radish. Next is the dish I'm looking forward to most. This is the sea bream sashimi, and it's served with a little bit of wasabi, and it's in some sort of sesame sauce. Whoa. That is such a delicious bite of sashimi. It's different than sashimi I'm used to. Sashimi is usually just freshly sliced raw fish that's dipped in a little bit of soy, but I love how it's in the sesame sauce. It almost tastes marinated. It's really earthy and nutty and a little bit creamy, and I love the addition of wasabi just to add a bit of kick. And the fish itself is just so buttery and smooth tasting. Definitely tastes like a slightly fattier fish, which adds so much flavor. Finally, they asked if I'd like a bowl of rice or a bowl of rice porridge, but I decided to go for the rice porridge because I love some sort of warm, comforting dish in the morning. You can never go wrong with rice porridge. I just love the texture. It's a little bit pasty and it just sort of coats your tongue, and then you have a chew from the little pieces of rice. It's the perfect thing to go with all the other flavorful dishes in this breakfast. There's one more dish I totally forgot about. Right here we have another egg omelet and a slice of grilled fish. Wow, how nice is that? Just a light, fluffy, airy omelet, and it's just a little bit salty. Now let's go for a piece of the fish, which looks really nice and charred on the outside. The skin looks beautiful. I love that. I love grilled fish, and this tastes like a mackerel. The fish itself is really nice and greasy. I love that natural fat from the mackerel, that dip, rich, deep flavor of the fish, and then a crispy skin on top, so it makes it really good. It's almost like a chip. That's because it's really salty and thin, and just adds a nice crispiness. To finish up the meal, you get a drink of your choice. I chose the Hiroshima apple juice because I loved that last night. And they also give you a bit of yogurt and fruit. Orange. I love that. It's just unsweetened yogurt, so you really get a nice tart, fresh creaminess, and all the sweetness comes from that orange. This tastes like a super fresh orange, really juicy and sweet. We also got a bit of honeydew melon, I believe. I was wrong. That is kiwi, which is also really delicious. That one is a little bit more on the tart side, but the texture is just really soft and delicate. What a great way to finish off breakfast. I love breakfast even more than dinner. I just stepped outside of Iwaso, and now we're going to be taking a short walk to the ropeway station, which is going to take us all the way to the top of Mount Misen. To start off, we're going to walk over this bridge, and it looks like the river underneath is doing pretty well. There's a small waterfall, and I think there's a little bit more water since it rained yesterday. I love this sign. It says an 8-minute walk, 6 if run a little, and I feel like a 6-minute walk, so let's run. I have never seen a crab this far inland before. This looks like something I'd find at the beach. The walk to the ropeway station was very scenic as it was through the woods, and we even saw a baby deer and its mother. Then it was a walk over a traditional Japanese bridge, and there is even a waterfall on the side. Here we are at the ropeway station, and something to note is sometimes they may close the ropeway if there's bad weather. What's nice is they have a ticket machine so you can get your tickets. All you have to do is insert your money, then select the ticket you want. Finally, the machine will give you your ticket at the bottom, and you can just grab it. Finally, it was time to board the ropeway car, and I was looking forward to the scenic ride. Then it was on to the second portion of the ropeway. After exiting the ropeway station, it was finally time to embark on a 30-minute hike up Mount Misen. About halfway up the mountain there was this pagoda, as well as this shrine. The inside of the shrine is nicely decorated, and you'll often see people praying here. Outside is a donation box, so I decided to toss in a few coins to help out. This flame has been burning for 1200 years. This is the building that houses the eternal flame, and I find it kinda crazy that it's been burning for 1200 years because it's such a long time, and you can see the flame in the very back. After seeing this other shrine, it was finally time to continue on our way up the mountain. After the 30-minute hike, I finally made it up here to the observatory on Mount Misen, and this is the highest point, and it was well worth it. It is so peaceful up here, and you have an amazing view of Hiroshima and the ocean and just the surrounding area. If you're considering hiking up Mount Misen, it is so worth it. I saw small children and elderly people doing it, so really anyone can do this hike. It only took about 30 minutes. After that musical experience, it was back down the mountain. Once we made it back down, it was kinda crazy to see how far we had hiked. After that, it was back down on a ropeway, and again, I just really love the scenic view. It's something definitely to experience when you're in Miyajima. Once we exited the ropeway, we were able to take the free ropeway shuttle bus, and that would take us to the area we're heading to for lunch. On my way to lunch, I saw some more wild deer, and that was something I really enjoyed about Miyajima, because I thought it was super cool seeing how curious all of the deer were. I just made it here to lunch, and this place is known for their oyster dishes, so I decided to get the fried oysters, and I'm looking forward to this because I want some redemption from the raw oysters I had last night because I love any sort of cooked oyster. My food just arrived. I decided to get the fried oyster set because that's my favorite way to prepare oysters, and it comes with a whole bunch of different items. I'm going to start off with the miso soup, and it looks like there might be some sort of fish cake or mochi in here. Oh, I love this miso soup. It's so rich and nice and salty. And these are little pieces of mochi rice cake. They're not quite chewy, they're just soft and delicate, but I do like the flavor of the rice. And this broth is really warming me up right now. It also comes with a side salad. This looks quite tasty. There's a little bit of carrots and sliced radish on top. I love this, just fresh juicy lettuce, and it's really refreshing after having that soup, and it's just a soy sesame vinaigrette, and I love this so much better than American style dressings. They're really rich and creamy just because it's so much lighter and tangier and just overall tastier. Now for the fried oysters, and these look huge considering the fact that they're not even their shell. Like, this could be the size of an oyster in the US. Okay, maybe not that small, but seriously, this could be the size of a whole small oyster, but this is just all meat right here. And it's just deep fried, looks golden brown and crispy. So let's just give this a taste plain so we can enjoy all the natural flavor. These are some amazing fried oysters, easily the best fried oysters I've ever had due to the size and the taste. The outside is perfectly crispy and thin, not too greasy, and the inside is so juicy and sweet. Definitely really sweet because you can taste that freshness and just a little bit of salty, briny flavor, but so much milder compared to the raw oyster I had yesterday, and I love this. It's just so juicy as well. It also comes with some sauce on the side. There's some sort of reddish sauce, so let's give that a taste. The sauces on the side are tartar sauce and ketchup, and really doesn't need any ketchup or tartar sauce just because it's already salty and flavorful already. I just finished up my meal here and it was incredible. This is definitely a place to check out if you're in Miyajima because this is literally the freshest oysters you're ever gonna eat. Now I'm gonna be heading right outside to just explore the shopping street here, which has a lot of food vendors and stalls. As I left to pay for my lunch, the owner took my money and he said that 40 years ago Ronald Reagan visited that restaurant, so I think that's a pretty cool fact. As I was walking down the street, this place really caught my eye because they're selling some sort of bear-shaped waffle-like cakes. That's what it looks like, and I decided to get the ones with strawberry powder because I think that'll just add a little bit of extra flavor, because I'm not sure if there's any filling in these. Wow, these are so tasty. I love it because they're freshly made, and I think that's what makes it tastier. And it's really eggy and has such a fluffy and soft texture. And I think the strawberry one is definitely the way to go because it really adds a nice tartness. It just kind of tastes like freeze-dried strawberries. I just stopped at this place for their sweet potato ice cream because the lady working there is the same lady at the lemonade shop that I was at yesterday, so I knew I had to stop because she's so friendly. And this ice cream looked pretty good just because it's served with roasted sweet potatoes and it's literally still hot, so we gotta try this before it melts. Wow. I know I've been saying this whole trip that it's the best I've ever had, but this is the best sweet potato I've ever had, and I think that's just because everything in Japan has been tasting better than what I'm used to. And sweet potato is so sugary and caramelized, I almost think there might be some sugar in it, but it's not because she just freshly scooped it out. This literally tastes like candy alone, just the sweet potato itself. It's really sugary, and it tastes like brown sugar caramel, and I love how it goes with the ice cream, because I love the warmth with the cold, and the ice cream is also really nice and creamy. You definitely have to try this place out. It's so unique. That's unlike anything you'll ever try outside of Japan. I literally didn't make it 2 feet before finding another thing to eat. I found some honeycomb soft serve ice cream, and you already know I had to try this because I love the honeycomb at the hotel breakfast buffet, so I could only imagine how honeycomb on ice cream is going to taste. Let's just get a bite of this with the honeycomb. Wow, that's just ridiculous. You already know it was gonna hit good because it's vanilla ice cream, so I like that extra vanilla flavor. Not milk, but still very tasty. But again, what makes this super special is that honeycomb. I just love the rich sweetness, and it just tastes like really fragrant honey. This is definitely the way to go, although that sweet potato ice cream was so delicious as well. I think everything on the shopping street just might blow me away. I just stopped by this place for their Momiji Manju because this looked really good. I had to get their tempura Momiji Manju, and I got it with smooth red bean paste. That is really quite nice. I love that it's not overly sweet. It's just a really light cake, and then the smooth red bean paste really adds a lot of flavor. And I love the outside because you got this really thick and crunchy tempura batter. I decided to stop across the street for their version of the Momiji Manju. This is the one that I see a lot of people trying in Miyajima since it comes on a stick. And I wanted to go for a different flavor, so I decided to get custard because come on, how could this not be good? A little cake filled with custard and then deep fried. And this batter does look a lot thinner. This one I like even better. On this one, the Momiji Manju, the outside is very thin. You get a very thin crusted tempura batter, and then the cake itself is also quite thin, so it's mostly custard. So it's almost like a bite full of deep fried warm custard. I decided to make one more stop for one more Momiji Manju, and I decided to get one that wasn't fried this time. And I saw this place was really crowded, and this is another place that makes it fresh. So I'm really looking forward to this one. I decided to go for another custard. This definitely does taste better than the one I had at Iwaso yesterday that was packaged, just because it's made fresh. It's still warm, and the inside custard is so delicious. I love the deep, rich yellow color because it has such a rich, eggy, custardy taste to it. Another cool thing about this shop is they have a garden in the back, and they have a pond full of giant koi fish. I decided to stop by one more place before dinner. It's gonna be a couple hours to dinner, so I decided to head by Bakano, which is known for their ice cream, and I barely made it right before they closed, and I had to get their green tea ice cream. This just looks like a really vibrant color, and the reviews on Google are really good. Wow, the texture that is so smooth and heavy and rich and creamy because this is gelato and it's just so smooth, and I'm surprised because even though there's a lot of matcha powder in there, you don't really feel the texture. Oh, this is so great. I really do love this. I'm definitely glad that I tried this. I decided to take a quick walk by the beach right before dinner, and what I love is in the late afternoon the last ferry for the island leaves, so it's a lot quieter because the only people on the island right now are people that are staying in a hotel. Right over here is Itsukushima Shrine, and if you zoom in right here, at the very end of the pier, the G7 leaders recently met and took a picture there. Then I got tickets to see the shrine up close. And here we go, this is the area where the G7 leaders met to take their photo right in front of the torii gate. I decided to walk out here towards the torii gate, and I'm so glad I did because it's really not too muddy here. It's just like walking on the beach next to the ocean. After spending a few more minutes looking at the torii gate, it was finally time to walk back to Iwaso to have our Kaiseki dinner, which I was really looking forward to. Something told me it would be a little bit better than a dinner the night before. I just made it to dinner, and I'm happy because they put us in a different dining room, so this way I get to check out both dining rooms, and I'm gonna start off the meal with a little bit of orange juice. While we're also on the topic of drinks, I decided to try the Hiroshima lemon soda. Wow, that is so interesting. That's probably the least sweet soda I've ever had. It's really on the tart side. It's almost just like carbonated lemon juice mixed with a little bit of water, but again, because they're Hiroshima lemons, it's so fragrant. You already know we gotta start with our appetizers. This is the first one. It looks like it's some sort of seaweed dish. Wow, that one is really strong. You definitely get a mild briny flavor from the seaweed, but it's also quite tart because there's a decent bit of vinegar in there. Next is another appetizer that comes with a little bit of different things. I think this might be either egg or sweet potato. That one's very slight and subtle. It just tastes like a little bit of egg yolk. But now for the next one, which I'm looking forward to, it's a nice large piece of bamboo shoot, and I love bamboo shoots. However, this looks like a lot different than what you would get in ramen because it's a nice thick cut. That is crunchy, juicy, and clean, and I love the earthy and salty miso sauce on top. Next, we have a little bit of eel, and it looks like it's filled with cream cheese, so it kind of reminds me of the smoked salmon we had yesterday. That is delicious. You really just taste the flavor of the eel, which is nago, that saltwater eel. So it's a lot sweeter and milder, and I love that it's not too overwhelmed by the cream cheese. It just adds a very slight creaminess. And then we have cognac jelly, which is a very popular Japanese dish, and this is extremely traditional. I love the cognac jelly. It's really refreshing. It has such a bouncy and chewy texture, and it's just covered in katsuobushi, which is shredded bonito flakes, so it really adds this rich smokiness that I love. Now we got some sashimi. The first one looks like it might be seared on the outside, and again it's another white fish. It almost looks similar to the sea bream I had at breakfast today. Oh yeah, I just love that so much. That is the same sea bream I had at breakfast, and I'm never gonna get tired of eating that. Before this trip, I wasn't into sashimi and raw sushi that much, but now I'm starting to really get into it because I just love the freshness of the seafood here in Japan. This is also gonna be a first for me, and I'm a bit out of my comfort zone trying this. This is raw squid. That is definitely an acquired taste. It has a soft texture at the beginning and then a bit of a chew, and then at the end you get a slight sliminess. So it's definitely a bit of an acquired taste, but it is very subtle and you can tell that it's fresh stuff. You're only getting the best seafood here. Next is the course before our main course, and this time I was allergic to the main one because it was a steamed eggplant dish served with a little bit of shrimp, and since I have a shrimp allergy, they were very accommodating and they brought out a potato gratin instead for me, and it looks really nice and cheesy on top. That is so rich and creamy. It definitely has a lot of cream in there, and I enjoy the cheese on top, and I also love the addition of the pieces of broccoli that's inside of it. Our main course today is grilled Wagyu, so I noticed that they really love their Wagyu here at Iwaso. But let's start off with the veggies. Here's the pumpkin. I always love pumpkin. It almost tastes to me like a cross between a squash and a sweet potato, and now we have the green snap peas. They nailed it. It is so hard to cook a snap pea. It's really hard to not overcook it, and they did it perfectly. It's just cooked through, but it has a really nice crisp. Zucchini. I'm not a big zucchini person, but this is delicious. I just love the rich roasted flavor of it. And now let's go for the egg. I'm kind of curious what this is, because it looks like there's some sort of green herb. The egg is pretty amazing. It's just light and fluffy, and then I got a slight taste of the Wagyu juice just covering the egg, and that was pretty incredible already. But now for a tomato. That is really impressive. It is a cherry tomato and it's been perfectly peeled, and I feel like that's such a painstaking process because it's just a perfect spherical shape. And you already know that I've been eating a lot of Wagyu on this trip, but here we go. Another piece of Wagyu, and this one looks like it's in some sort of wine sauce. That is so delicious. Again, Wagyu is just so juicy, and I love the sauce. It's some sort of wine sauce, and the meat is also salt and peppered, and it goes really great with the yellow mustard on the side. Next is the bouillabaisse, and it looks like it's some sort of stew. There's little pieces of fish, as well as broccoli, and a giant clam in here. But let's just start off with this little piece of fish. That's just soft, delicate fish, and the broth is just this rich, briny seafood broth, and I think it's also extra briny because the clamshell is just sitting in there. This is such a beautiful clamshell, and what I find pretty interesting is the piece of clam meat inside is so much smaller than the shell surrounding it. It just looks so huge. But let's give this a taste. It looks really plump, and it almost looks like a scallop in a way. That is not for beginners. It is really strong and intense and briny. The second I bit into it, it tasted sweet, but then immediately afterwards, it tasted like I took a sip of the ocean. It's just super strong and briny, but I think that's how they intend it. It's supposed to be as nature meant it to be. Very simply flavored, and you're just supposed to taste the seafood itself. More food arrived. This time it's clam soup. It looks like a clear broth with one clam inside of it. And then they also brought some rice topped with fried baby sardines. So let's just start off with the clam soup first, and more specifically, let's just start off with the clam. This time it looks really small and more like the clam I'm used to. That is very mild, just a mild sweetness from the clam, and then the broth itself is just a clear broth, so it's very refreshing. Now for the rice with the fried baby sardines. I actually like that a lot more than I thought I would. I love the rice and how it goes with the fried baby sardines. Usually I'm not super into sardines because they're really strong and intense and fishy, but these ones have no fishy taste, and because they've been deep fried, it just turned into baby sardine chips. You already know, the last course is dessert, and we got some fruit right here, as well as what I believe to be some sort of cold sweet potato pudding. Let's just go for this orange, and my favorite part about these fruit desserts is the clear jelly on top. The orange itself is a bit sour, but the clear jelly adds a refreshing sweetness. And now for this cherry, which literally just looks perfect. It's just really nice and super symmetrical. That is a very fresh and juicy cherry and very mild in flavor. It's just super clean tasting. Now for the pudding, it looks really quite nice. It looks like there's some sort of torch top on top and then some sort of whipped cream in the middle. That definitely does taste like a sweet potato pudding. It has a really eggy flavor, but then you also have that natural sweetness from the sweet potato. You can get a little bit of extra caramelization on top. And then that cream is really interesting. I wonder if it's Hokkaido dairy or something, because it tastes like whipped cream. And then it also has this rich, almost buttery flavor, just because it's so high in fat. This was such a fantastic meal. We're going to be heading down here for breakfast tomorrow morning, and then we're going to be leaving the hotel quite early right afterwards. But I also love that we ate in this room because we have a private dining room, and we're going to be right back here tomorrow morning at breakfast. I'm back at the room, and tomorrow I have a very busy day planned. Tomorrow is my 18th birthday, and we're going to be leaving Iwaso after breakfast and heading to the city of Hiroshima to explore around. I definitely want to eat some okonomiyaki for lunch, which is a specialty there, and then see the A-bomb dome. After all of that, we're going to be taking the bullet train back to Kobe, and we're going to be having Kobe beef, which is one of the world's most prized cuts of Wagyu. This morning it was such an adventure exploring Mount Misen. It was a bit of a challenge, but well worth it. I loved exploring that street as well that was full of all those little different foods I tried. And yeah, make sure if you enjoyed the video to give it a like, and also make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.